March 8, 2014. It was a normal night at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. 239 passengers boarded Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, expecting nothing more than an ordinary trip to Beijing. Families waved goodbye, pilots made their final checks. No one had any idea. They were about to become part of one of the greatest mysteries in modern history. Less than 40 minutes later, something unthinkable happened. The plane vanished. No distress signal, no warning. 1 second, air traffic control was in contact. The next, radio silence. A massive Boeing 777, one of the safest aircraft in the world, was gone without a trace. No wreckage, no distress calls, nothing. But what happened next was even stranger. Because over the years, clues would surface that made this disappearance even more mysterious. And the more people searched, the weirder it got. As Flight MH370 climbed to cruising altitude, everything seemed routine. No issues, no distress calls. But then, at 1:19 a.m., something bizarre happened. The last recorded words from the cockpit came from the co-pilot, Farik Abdul Hamid. Air traffic control instructed them to switch to Vietnamese airspace. He calmly replied, "Good night, Malaysian 370. That was the last time anyone ever heard from Flight MH370. Just 2 minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., the plane completely vanished from radar. But here's where it gets even stranger. The plane's transponder, the device that sends real-time location data, was manually turned off. That means someone inside the cockpit intentionally disabled it. And then, the plane made a sudden, sharp turn, completely off course. Instead of heading toward Beijing, MH370 veered west, straight into the Indian Ocean. For the next 6 hours, satellite signals showed the plane was still flying, but no one knows who was in control or why. And by morning, it was gone. When Flight MH370 disappeared from radar, air traffic control assumed it was just a technical glitch. Planes lose contact all the time, but they usually reconnect within minutes. This time, nothing. At 6:30 a.m., the plane was scheduled to land in Beijing. Families waited at the airport, expecting to see their loved ones walk through the gates, but the plane never arrived. At 7:24 a.m., Malaysia Airlines made the official announcement, "We have lost contact with Flight MH370. The world went into a frenzy. The biggest search operation in aviation history began. 26 countries joined the hunt, using satellites, naval ships, and aircraft. Authorities initially searched the South China Sea, where the plane was last tracked, but they found nothing, no debris, no signal. It was like the plane had vanished into thin air. Then, a shocking discovery. Data from Inmarsat, a British satellite company, revealed something no one expected. The plane was still flying for nearly 7 more hours after it lost contact. But instead of heading to China, it made a drastic turn southwest, straight toward the vast, empty Indian Ocean. This discovery changed everything. The original search area was thousands of miles off. But even with this new information, they still couldn't find the plane. Despite the largest and most expensive search operation in aviation history, Flight MH370 remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our time. For years, search teams scanned the Indian Ocean, covering over 120,000 square kilometers of seabed with high-tech sonar equipment. Yet, no trace of the aircraft was found. Then, in 2015, a breakthrough. A piece of debris washed up on the shores of Réunion Island, thousands of miles away. Experts confirmed it belonged to MH370. Over time, more fragments appeared. A wing flap in Tanzania, a piece of the fuselage in Mozambique. Each discovery raised more questions than answers. But was this really proof of a crash, or was it planted evidence to close the case? Some independent investigators claim the debris shows signs of a controlled landing rather than a high-speed crash into the ocean. If true, this suggests someone was in control until the very end. In 2018, after years of exhaustive searches, the official investigation was closed. The final report stated, "The cause of the disappearance cannot be determined with certainty. No wreckage, no bodies, no black box recordings. Just an empty sky and a trail of unanswered questions. Despite the largest and most expensive search operation in aviation history, Flight MH370 remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our time. For years, search teams scanned the Indian Ocean, covering over 120,000 square kilometers of seabed with high-tech sonar equipment. Yet, no trace of the aircraft was found. Then, in 2015, a breakthrough. A piece of debris washed up on the shores of Réunion Island, thousands of miles away. Experts confirmed it belonged to MH370. Over time, more fragments appeared. A wing flap in Tanzania, a piece of the fuselage in Mozambique. Each discovery raised more questions than answers. But was this really proof of a crash, or was it planted evidence to close the case? Some independent investigators claim the debris shows signs of a controlled landing rather than a high-speed crash into the ocean. If true, this suggests someone was in control until the very end. In 2018, after years of exhaustive searches, the official investigation was closed. The final report stated, "The cause of the disappearance cannot be determined with certainty." But even after the official search ended, new private missions have continued. Independent researchers, former pilots, and even tech billionaires have funded their own deep-sea explorations, convinced that the wreckage must still be out there. One theory even suggests that MH370 is much farther south than originally thought, meaning every previous search was looking in the wrong place. No wreckage, no bodies, no black box recordings, just an empty sky and a trail of unanswered questions. With so few answers, theories about MH370's disappearance have spread like wildfire. Some are plausible, while others sound like something straight out of a spy thriller. One of the most widely accepted theories is that the pilot, Zaharieh Ahmad Shah, deliberately took control of the plane. Investigators found a flight simulation on his home computer that showed a similar route into the Indian Ocean. Some believe he intentionally diverted the aircraft, depressurized the cabin to incapacitate passengers and crew, then flew the plane until it ran out of fuel. But if this was intentional, why leave no message? Why fly for hours in complete silence? Others suggest mechanical failure, a sudden fire, or electrical issue that knocked out communications, leaving the pilot struggling to navigate until the plane ran out of fuel. Then there are the darker theories. Was MH370 a victim of a cyber attack? Could someone have remotely hijacked the plane's systems? Some claim classified military technology could have jammed the plane's signals, causing it to vanish from radar. Perhaps the most chilling theory is that MH370 was shot down. Some believe a military force mistook it for a threat, or that the plane was deliberately destroyed to prevent a secret cargo from being exposed. But without hard evidence, every theory remains just that, a theory. It has been over a decade since Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 disappeared. 239 people vanished that night, and the world is still waiting for answers. Despite the largest search effort in aviation history, the main wreckage has never been found. No final words from the pilots, no confirmed explanation for what happened. Families of the passengers are still demanding the search continue, but as the years pass, the chances of discovering the truth get smaller and smaller. Was it an accident, a planned event, a cover-up, or something even stranger? For now, Flight MH370 remains one of the greatest modern mysteries. But one thing is certain, a plane this massive doesn't just disappear, does it? And if you want more bizarre, unexplained cases, check out our video on Stephen Kubacki, the man who vanished for 15 months, then woke up 700 miles away with no memory of what happened. Click here to watch. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos that prove what happens. When logic fails,